Welcome to the 7th episode of Ultimate Overview, a show where we go over each item in Fortnite and explain its strengths, weaknesses, and its role in the game today. My name is Jackson, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about the always inferior accidental inclusion, the Machine SMG. At launch, the Machine SMG was only known as the submachine gun, coming in common through rare and dealing 11 to 13 damage with a fire rate of 15 and a magazine size of 25. This meant that the rare version, which was the highest rarity mind you, only had a DPS of 195. Now, I say only had a DPS of 95, that's actually pretty good. So then, why was the OG SMG considered so terrible? Its biggest issue was its accuracy. The OG SMG had god-awful accuracy at every single range. Now, it's not like you're gonna start sniping people with any submachine gun, but this weapon was only really viable if you were like millimeters away from your opponent. Even then, you have to keep in mind that this gun was in the game during seasons 1 and 2, when double pump was a thing and the Scar had 70 plus damage headshots, so it's no wonder that this weapon saw almost no use. It did get buffed midway through season 1, increasing its damage by 2 across the board and buffing its magazine size to 35, but this was after most players had figured out how to double pump, so it still saw very limited use. In the last update of Season 2, it would be vaulted, being the first weapon in the game to be officially put there. Since creative wasn't a thing yet, this means that the OG submachine gun is one of the only weapons in the game that is completely inaccessible even with glitches in creative. This is because in Season 7, the OG SMG's files would be deleted from the game entirely, being transferred to a new weapon, the machine pistol. So, some of you might be scratching your heads saying, what do you mean, accidental releases? Well, like I said a minute ago, the OG submachine gun was replaced in the files by the machine pistol all the way back in Season 7. Now, of course, Epic being Epic, they've accidentally added it to the game in some way, shape, or form before its official release a few times. The first incident was in Season X, when its common rarity was accidentally added to the solid gold loot pool, replacing the compact SMG. It was removed and properly replaced after a few hours, of course, but this marked the first of a few pre-releases this weapon would receive. It wouldn't be added into another LTM until Chapter 2 Season 5, when it was accidentally put into the unvaulted LTM in all rarities. Once again, the machine pistol didn't stick around for long, being removed after a few hours. It showed up again, though, in Chapter 2 Season 8's unvaulted, again being removed only after a few hours. With all of these hints, all of these teasers, this gun has to be coming to the game soon, right? And you're absolutely right, because it was finally added in Chapter 3 Season 1 saw the machine pistol's final accidental inclusion when it was added to creative. This iteration of the machine pistol sort of finalized the weapon's varying stats. It dealt 15 up to 19 damage at a fire rate of 13.5 with a 35 round magazine. Initially it had very tight bloom, although its spread would rapidly expand under constant fire. It also had pretty jumpy recoil, making it very annoying to use. The machine pistol would finally be officially added into BR in Content Update 19.20, being the second SMG of that season. And nobody's using it. See, the machine pistol had to compete with the Stinger SMG, which at the time was the best SMG in the game. Comparing their stats, the Stinger in rare rarity dealt 20 damage at a fire rate of 12, giving it a DPS of 240. Comparing that to the machine pistol with a damage of 17 and a fire rate of 13.5, we're looking at 229.5. That can't be right. So you're telling me that the Stinger SMG, being more accurate with less recoil, is also the weapon with the better DPS? So then, what's the point of running a machine pistol? It's not better at range, it doesn't have a humongous capacity, it's only 5 more than the Stinger. So then, why? Like, there's not a joke here, I really just don't understand the design philosophy here. But anyway, this pathetic second fiddle SMG would pretend to contend with the Stinger up until it was vaulted for Chapter 3 Season 2, being replaced by the far superior combat SMG. Now honestly, that's where the machine pistol's story should end, but I guess it wanted another shot at glory, so instead, we got it unvaulted for... Ironically enough, Chapter 4 Season 1's launch saw some nerfs to the machine pistol. For one, its name was changed to the Machine SMG, a strictly inferior name. I mean, machine pistols are a thing in real life, but there's no such thing as a Machine SMG. It's kind of an oxymoron, really, because SMG is just an abbreviation of submachine gun, so the actual full name of this weapon ends up being the machine submachine gun. So is it a machine gun, or is it just a sub? I mean, it sure was a sub for the dummy twin mag, that's for sure, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The machine SMG, blah. Got its damage nerfed by 1 across the board and had its capacity nerfed from 35 to 33, which is probably the most nothing change of all time, but whatever. Its time to reload was also increased, so if you ever felt the need to mag dump this thing more than once, it'd take you a little bit longer to do so. Just like with the Stinger in Chapter 3, we're going to compare this thing to the other SMG during Chapter 4 Season 1, that being the Twin Mag SMG. So the blue machine SMG is hitting for 16 damage at a fire rate of 13.5 that gives us a DPS of 216, compared to the Twin Mag that's 18 damage with a fire rate of 13, giving us 234. Wow, okay. That's 2 for 2 on the machine SMG being worse than its opposition. Hell, just for gits and chiggles, let's compare it to the gun that replaced it, the submachine gun. So 18 damage at a fire rate of 11, that makes it a DPS of 198. So the machine SMG had the regular one beat, but you've got to keep in mind that the machine SMG has really bad accuracy and recoil. I just can't get over the fact that every single time this weapon has been in the game, it's just horribly outclassed by something else, even within its own category. That's not even taking into account the tactical pistol, which was debatably better than the twin mag, especially if you had the pistol amp augment. Overall, this weapon is just super mid. Fortunately for everyone, it was vaulted for Chapter 4 Season 2, being replaced by the submachine gun, and hasn't returned since. However, it is very clearly the inspiration for the brand new dual micro SMGs, which are very good, but we'll talk about those when we get to its video. On the tier list, I'm going to put the machine SMG in C tier. The poor accuracy and that super jumpy recoil just completely ruin any potential its fairly mid DPS had to offer. In every season it's ever been in, there's been another SMG that anyone with a brain would prefer to run. Honestly, C tier might even be generous, but I do have to acknowledge that as an SMG, it does combo well with pump shotguns, so it at least has that going for it. Anyhow, if y'all enjoyed everything this video had to offer, consider subscribing because it helps out a lot. The next video in this series is going to go over the med kit, so stay tuned for that soon. I've been Jackson, and this was Ultimate Overview. Thanks, guys. Love you, Mom.